central bank, the role a central bank plays in an economy means that it can have a significant impact on households, firms, the performance of the economy. So, for the central bank, the role it plays, it's basically to ensure that all the banking system within the economy works. That is the role the central bank plays. So let's look at the functions of the central bank. With the functions, we'll be able to know more about the roles of central bank. The first one, act as a banker to the government. Tax revenue is paid into government account at the central bank, and payments by the government for goods and services are made out of these accounts. So the central bank acts as the bank for government. That we call it government bank. So we call it government bank because all taxes that are being paid are being remitted into that account. So if government has to pay something, if government has to buy, if government has to, make infrastructure, or whatever government has to do, all government expenses goes through that account. So the central bank acts as the government bank. That is the point they are making here. I think it's clear. 2, operate as bankers to the commercial bank. So the central bank is also the banker's bank. The first one is what? Government bank. Yes. Now it's what? Banker's bank.
So like the commercial banks?
Yeah, so the central bank acts as the bank for other banks.
The commercial banks.
The commercial bank, the development banks, the Islamic banks, whatever bank it is. So the central bank acts as their bank. Do you get that point? Yes, yes. So that means the old accounts at the central bank, the holding accounts at the central bank enables commercial banks to settle debts between each other and draw out cash if their own customers are taking more cash from their branches than usual. So the commercial banks have accounts with the central bank. So with this account that they have with the central bank, it makes it easier for them to transact with their competitors, other banks with them. So that means you have accounts with the bank. Your bank A has an account with the central bank. Bank B has an account with the central bank. So whatever happens between bank A and bank B, the central bank knows about it. So transactions that go between these banks is between the eye watch of the central bank. Do you get the point?
Yes, sir.
The third one, acts as a lender of last resort. So when banks need money, when banks are running out of cash, when banks are running out of liquid, they go to the central bank. So the central bank acts as their last resort. So whenever there's nothing anymore, the only institution that can help out is the central bank. So we call them lenders of last resort. The first function of the central bank is what? They act as the government's bank. So taxes that has to be paid are remitted into government accounts in the central bank. Yes. And when government has to pay for all these things, they pay through the central bank. The second one is the central bank acts as what? The bank or the banker's bank. So all banks across the country have accounts with the central bank. So transactions that happens between different banks is under the eye watch of the central bank. The third one is that the central bank acts as what? The lender of last resort. So when the central bank are short of cash or when they are out of liquid, they go through the central bank. The fourth function of the central bank is that they act as they manages the national debt. So the national debt is the total amount of the government owes. Over time, government debt tends to build up. So the central bank carries out borrowing on behalf of the government by issuing government securities. For example, government bonds, which pays interest on this and pays them when they fall due. So the central bank manages the national debt. So if government is owing, the central bank can find a way in which government can pay. So the central bank might issue bonds. What is a bond? A bond means that you are getting a loan from people. People are giving you loans that you have to pay back. Yes. Do you understand? Yes. You're not the one giving out loan anymore. You are getting money from people that are so rich. So they give you. Yes. So you're able to use it and you pay back with interest. Do you understand?
Yes.
All the countries reserves of foreign currency and gold. So all the currencies that are not domiciled here, that are domiciled in this country, is controlled and monitored by the central bank. Do you get the point I'm making here? All other foreign currencies that are domiciled here are controlled and managed by the central bank. Gold, whatever it is managed by the central bank. Is it clear? They issue banknotes. So it's the central bank, it's the work of the central bank to to print notes and destroy notes. Printing and minting of currency is done by the central bank. It's the central bank of the country that prints notes. It's the central bank of the country that destroys notes if they no longer needed. They implement the government monetary policy. What are monetary policy? Monetary policy is the use of interest rate, interest rate and money supply to correct the economy or to control the economy or to manipulate the economy. So it is the central bank that carry out these monetary policies. Get the point I'm making here? Another function of the central bank is to initiate or implement monetary policy. What is monetary policy? Monetary policy is the use of interest rates, exchange rates, money supply to correct or to control the economy. But if government wants to use that, government use it through the central bank. So the central bank carries out monetary policy. Is it clear? Controls the banking system. So they monitor, they arrange, they organize the banking system. So whatever happens within the banking system, the central bank knows about it. So the central bank checks and balances the operations of the other banks in the country. Is it clear?
Yes.
They represent the government at meetings. So when government has to, like the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, or the World Bank, if the country needs to be represented in meetings like the meetings of the IMF, International Monetary Fund, the meeting of the World Bank, they go to the central bank represents the government. Is it clear?
Yes.
So we go to the independence of central banks. They said a number of governments have given their central banks the authority to decide the rate of interest. So remember we said monetary policy is carried out or is being implemented by the central bank. So if the central bank implements monetary policy, one of the monetary policy is interest rate. So that means the central bank has that independence to carry out, to decide the interest rates of a country.
Yes.
And what is interest rate? Interest rate is the price of borrowing or the price of saving. So the amount you have to pay when you borrow is decided by the central bank. The amount you have to get when you save your money into the bank is decided by the central bank. That is the point they are making here. So they said the government still decide the aims of their central banks and give them a target for inflation. So the Bank of England, for example, is instructed to use the rate of interest to achieve an inflation target of 2%. If it thinks that there is a danger that the price level will increase by more than 2%, it is likely to raise the rate of interest, whereas if it thinks it will fall below 2%, it is likely to lower the interest rate. Whenever there is inflation rate. What is inflation? Inflation is the persistent rise in the price of goods and services in an economy. That is inflation. But government can use interest rate to correct inflation. Do you get what I'm saying or not?
No.
We are talking about the independence of the central bank. The central bank has the power to decide what the interest rate of a country is. The central bank has the power to do that.
Yes.
Okay. Now, because we said monetary policy is implemented by the central bank, which means the use of interest rate, the use of money supply to correct the economy is decided by the central bank. As a result, the central bank has the sole authority to talk or to decide what the interest rate of a country would be. What is interest rate? Interest rate is the price of savings or borrowing. That is clear. So here they said the government of the country still has things to do when it comes to, still can decide or still can give order to the central bank, especially when it comes to inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is a persistent rise in the price of goods and services in an economy. So, if inflation rate is increasing, government can increase interest rates. Government will tell the central bank to increase the interest rate. So when the central bank increases the interest rate, it means the demand in the economy will fall. As a result, demand pull inflation would reduce. Then prices will fall.
Yes.
Do you get it?
Yes.
So when there's inflation, when there's high inflation rate in the economy, when there's persistent rise in the prices of goods and services, the central bank through the government through the central bank will increase the interest rate.
Yes.
Do you understand? So because the interest rate is increasing, savings will increase in the economy. People will think to save. People will have that incentive, encouragement to save more than to spend. As a result, money will not be in circulation. So if money is not in circulation, demand for goods and services would fall. Prices will definitely fall because people are not buying, consumers are not buying. Firms will be forced to reduce their price or to find a way of reducing their cost.
Yes.
That is the point. They said if it is likely to raise the rate of it, whereas if it thinks it will fall below 2%, it is likely to lower the interest rate. So if government thinks that inflation rate will fall, government might also do what? Reduce interest rate. Do you see?
Yes. It's the opposite.
Yeah. So government might increase interest rate to correct inflation. Government might reduce interest rate to correct inflation. Is it clear?
Yes.
That's the independence of the central banks. Any question about that?
No.
There are numbers of advantages in allowing the central bank to decide the rate of interest for banking. Unlike a national government, a central bank is unlikely to be tempted to lower the rate of interest to win public support. Most central banks also have extensive knowledge of the banking system and appropriate rate of interest rate. Here, if it is better for the central bank to decide the interest rate, because the central bank does not need approval or does not need public opinion to decide anything here. They are working on their own, on the interest of the banking system of the country, on the economy. But if it is decided by government needs public opinion. So government might lower interest rates or increase it. Government might lower interest rates so that people will be happy that they will vote for them in the next election.
Yes.
You see the point here? What I'm saying is that if interest rate is decided by government, it might be a problem. It could put the economy into decline. Why? Because government needs public opinion. When we talk about public opinion, we're talking about how people feel about this government. So the government might not be doing well. As a result, they might find a way of cajoling the populace or the population, cajoling the people
Yes.
by reducing the interest rate. When the interest rate reduces, it increases the ability to borrow more. So people will be able to borrow more money.
Just increase inflation.
Demand in the economy will rise. Yes or no? If government takes charge of interest rates, so the problem is that government needs public opinion. Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So because government needs public opinion, the central bank, the government might instruct the central bank to reduce interest rates. By so doing, the price of borrowing would reduce. Money will be in circulation. The demand in the economy would increase. People will be happy because they have a lot of money to spend.
Yes.
As a result, they might say, yeah, the government of this country is doing well. They will vote for them again in the next election. That is public opinion. Yeah. The perception of people regarding the government of a country, that is public opinion. So because government needs it more for election, they will do whatever will pleases the people. That is the point there. Unlike if it is given to the central bank is a bank. It has expertise. It knows what it's doing. It won't want to let the economy down. It doesn't need public opinion.
Yes.
As a result, it will do the right thing. So if needs be to increase the interest rate, the central bank will do it because it has the independence. If needs be to lower the interest rate, the central bank is in the right position to do it, because the central bank is not under any influence. Is it clear?
Yes.
So that is the point we are making here. So the central bank should be the one that decides the interest rate, because if it's decided by government might be tempted to tamper with the economy as a result of wanting approval from the people regarding how they are ruling them. So they will not do the right thing. Public opinion takes charge. Public opinion becomes the influence on what decisions they take. That's the point there. Is it clear?
Yes.
So we'll go to the questions. Money enables people to save. Which function of money does this describe?
Enables.
Money enables people to save.
Yes.
Which function of money does this describe?
Can you guess it? Which function?
Money enables people to save.
Yes, it enables people to save.
Yeah. So which function of money does this describe?
Which function?
Yeah.
Oh. Units per count.
No.
No. Store of value.
Store of value. We said money can be saved now. We use it in the nearest future. So we are able to save now because that money, we can still use it in the nearest future. So store of value, that's the answer B. Question 2. What would make an item unsuitable to act as money?
Item.
An item unsuitable to act as money.
That's perishable.
It is perishable?
Yes.
Unsuitable to act as money. Yes,
Yes,
it is perishable.
What does perishable mean?
It could be easily spoiled, damaged. It could be damaged easily.
Yes.
It could be damaged easily. Yes or no?
Yes.
So that's why it cannot be money. The third question. What is the function of a central bank?
Function.
Of a central bank?
It's either A or B.
There's nothing either here. You choose one.
Wait. Issue chairs, no. Raise the tax, no. Controlling the money supply.
Controlling the money supply. Yes.
Because B deciding on the amount.
Question 4. What